concern for other human beings. If you're not concerned about other human beings, you're not human. Any human being. Not family, wife, blacks in Africa, the oppressed. I divide the world. You know, when I was in London, when I lived 26 years in London, and when I was in London, I used to demonstrate outside the Israeli embassy again, with friends, other Israelis, against what the Israelis were doing to the Palestinians. And some Jews, English Jews, used to come and say, "Why are you with the Arabs? Why are you not with us?" And I used to say, "You divided the world into Jews and non-Jews. I divide the world into oppressed and oppressors. I am always with the oppressed against the oppressors. I don't care who the oppressor is. If the oppressor is Israeli, I am against Israelis. If the oppressor is against Jewish, I will be against, not because he is Jewish, because he is oppressor. If I see a man oppressing a woman, I will be against him not because he is a man, because he is an oppressor. And if I see the woman oppressing the child, I will be against the woman not because she is a woman, because she is oppressing the child. And if I see an Israeli oppressing a Palestinian, I will be against him not because he is Israeli, because he is an oppressor. I am against oppression. And I will always fight oppressors, even if they are Jews or Israelis. You, I said to the young Jews, you will not. You will support oppressors if they are Jews. I know. There's different dividing the world. I divide oppressed oppressors, you divide Jews, non-Jews. That's it. And they used to go away. They never answered. Never answered. And to be human means to recognize the equality of all human beings, all. Men, women, black, white, yellow. And to be concerned about what happens to them. This is what I mean to be human. It's elementary. You know, it's a difficult question. I know I don't have an easy answer. Basically, most people are not bad people. Even the oppressors, they are not bad people. They obey. They are conditioned to obey. And what you have to make people understand or not understand, behave, is that they will become critical of what they are doing. And most people right now are not critical. They have been told, do this, he will do this. And I say, no. You have to teach the people or to show them that it is possible to ask questions. You have the right to ask questions. And if you feel something is wrong, you don't do it. Even if it is an order. There are orders which you do not obey. And it will take time, but I think the situation will change. I think the situation will change. You know, many times soldiers are behaving very badly to civilians. Israeli soldiers say. But it is not because he is sadistic. It's because he does not want to be there. And he says he basically feels, because of you, I have to do this fucking job. You see what I mean? So, you have to tell him, listen, you don't have to do this fucking job. Yes, he is there and you are here, but you don't have to do the job. But sometimes, many of the Israelis are afraid of the Palestinians. You know why? Not because what the Palestinians do, but because the Israeli says to himself, if I were in his situation, I would not be a very good boy. I would behave very badly. So and sometimes it's the feeling of guilt which makes you fear the other side, because you say, if I was in his situation, I would have reacted much more violently. So you see, most people are not sadistic, but they find themselves in a situation where they're like in a prison and they lack the mental courage to break out of the prison. You have to behave in a way that will show people it is possible to break out of this mental prison. It is possible. Difficult. Maybe your friends will not talk to you. Maybe your family will not talk to you. If you are in Gaza, like he described, and somebody says, shoot this man, and you say, no, I will not shoot. Maybe your friends will not talk to you. Maybe your parents will not talk to you. But you have to do it. If you want to remain human, you have to do it. And slowly, the number of people who are like this is growing. Small, but it's growing. It's growing. Because it's a way of staying human. Look, you have to say what you feel is necessary to say, even if the people don't listen. Even if the people... I once came to a school in 1960 in Jerusalem, high school, gymnasium. And I spoke to the children and I said, the conflict in Palestine is not between Israel and Egypt. The conflict is between the Zionist colonization and the Palestinian peasants. It's local conflict. Okay. The children did not say anything. 10 years later, I was in London. I get a telephone call. A boy says to me, somebody says to me in Hebrew, Aki, you remember me? I was in that class in Jerusalem in the gymnasium when you said the conflict is between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I said to him, I remember, yes. And what did you think then? He said, I didn't understand anything. But in 1967, he was cameraman for the general who was in Nablus, the Israeli general who conquered Nablus. And he said, we went with the cameras behind the general. The general was in a tank or in a jeep, and we went with a film to show. And suddenly I looked and saw all the people on the houses in Nablus. It's a big town. All the people on the houses. And I said, who are these people? And then he said, I remembered. Aki said, Palestinians? Here, these are the Palestinians. And he completely changed his views for something which he heard 10 years before, and he did not pay attention to. He did not understand also. It did not fit into the context. But it remained somewhere. And then suddenly, and it worked. It worked. But it takes time and patience. And you have to remember, even the chauvinists and the nationalists, they are not bad people. They are not negative. They are have a certain conception of egoism or nationalism, etc. And you have to break through this. It's possible. It goes slowly, but it's possible. It will change. I am positive 100%. I also, look, when I was in England in 1967, I was a student. You know what was a student? My field, cosmology. I studied cosmology. I knew many Palestinians, and they said, Aki, in 1967, everybody is for supporting Israel. In 1967, the world supported Israel. I said, wait, today, everybody is criticizing Israel. But it's slowly, it takes 50 years, but after 50 years, people saw the picture, what is going on. That the oppressed are the Palestinians, not the Israelis. But it took 50 years, and many killed. So, you have to have a long-term vision, not to think what will happen tomorrow or the day after. Maybe you have to have a vision of 10 years, 20 years, and then look, South Africa. Many years we thought, the whites will always be in power. No. I knew people who were friends of Mandela. And they were fighting against racism in South Africa, and it looked as if it was a lost case in 1980. And yet, they won. And in Israel will be the same thing. Look, the Israelis don't really hate the Arabs. They are a bit afraid because they know what they do is wrong. But if there will be some kind of a rapprochement, they will be like this in 5 years. And then the whole country will be a traffic jam, because everything will be full of cars and